This is the platform to create for women photographers to share their own experience with different contexts around the world. So I hope we can learn and listen what was the challenge and what was the opportunity for them through our discussion today. And as you already know that the Photo Phnom Penh Festival, we create a platform, not just only the photo, but a platform for everyone, all the gender identity involved with that discussion. And I'm so glad that we discuss not just only the photo, but we discuss about human being and recognize all the human being in that platform. And I do not go further because it's quite so long, because there was a lot of study in gender representative in that sector and less space in that photography sector around the globe. And there is a lot of study on that, so I just would like to highlight. And before that, I would like to pass our introductions to our team. But before that, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Moni Van. Moni is called me, and I was a co-team of the Photo Phnom Penh Festival today, and one of the participation to organize the event today too. And I'm glad to meet all of you today. And today we have 5 representatives from different countries and different experience, and I hope to learn from everyone here and their experience and something unique that I learned today. And I would like to pass the microphone to our colleagues today, and hopefully you can introduce yourself and your thematic area that you are interested to work.
Thank you, Paul. Hello everyone, my name is Serero. You can call me Cam. Currently, I'm a visual storyteller, also in still image and moving image, photography and videography. I graduated from Department of Media and Communication in University of Phnom Penh, specifically in journalism and communication. And that's how I started photojournalism as well back in 2013. And to graduate, I made photos book, which is about sources of air pollution, and it was quite an honor to have Bob Bidong here as my mentor for my first book. In the same year, I went to social art project for photography and contemporary art class. And after that, in the same year, I went to Cambodia Foto Festival, and I made a series called There's a School in Wonbo Primary School. It was about school that I got inspired by their discipline. Above you can see is a project which I collaborate with my sister, July. Here, it was about, the title is called Element. So my sister was quite interested in river, while I was interested in forestry. So that how we do is to support each other to make it happen. What you can see here is the representative image of the monk in Sangrukawan in Odamute province. For your context, the forestry, the monk forestry was preserved or has been preserved by monks as a group. So a part of being a monk, they went to the forest and guard the forest from illegal logging. And the above, you can see on your right, is where the boy was standing. Is one of the photo in my first work called Contemporary Breath, which was about air pollution. So it was, how to say, an incident also. It helps me in a way to tell the story about air pollution. And above is the project which I made to graduate in social art project, which now closed already. Quite sad actually. So yeah, besides photography, I'm a filmmaker myself. All of this medium is under a scope or topic of environment. So I was like, when I was in high school, I really wanted to be environmentalist, but it was kind of sensitive media communication, where I still can explore my passion and use different media to support what I want to do. Thank you.
Okay, hello. My name is Tracy Shelton, and I was a photojournalist for more than 20 years. I started here in Cambodia, actually, at the Phnom Penh Foto, but then I moved to the Middle East, and I spent about 10 years covering war, human rights abuses, and injustice over there. I want to talk a little bit today about the power of an image, because as a photojournalist, for me, photography was not about creating something, but about capturing a moment in history, to tell a story, a crucial story, to convey the emotion of an event in history, or just to expose what's happening in places that very few people can access. So even just one image, it can change a life, it can change the course of a war, it can change the future of a country, for good or for bad. So while working in the Middle East was an incredible privilege for me, it was also a huge responsibility. And sometimes it's also a very difficult thing as well. So a couple of images that I wanted to mention were the second one here of Mohammed, 17 at the time, holding a gun, and at the bottom there is when Muammar Gaddafi was captured in Libya. So the reason why I wanted to speak about them is because those two images represent a dramatic change in narrative that happened in Libya in 2011 when I was working there. So at the beginning of the revolution, my photography and pretty much everybody who was working on the opposition side were representing these ordinary guys, even very young men, that had taken up arms against an oppressive government. And they were the underdogs. They were the ones who were fighting against all odds. And the Western world rallied behind them. And that changed the course of the war. Gaddafi would have won, 100%. He had an army and planes and tanks, and they had sticks and rocks at the beginning. But with international support, they won. And they won the revolution. And it was when they captured Gaddafi, when he was captured and killed, I was the only journalist there at the time. And the images of his capture, of this old man being brutally beaten to death, it changed the narrative of Libya completely. So before that, international media had always spoke about these rebel heroes, but overnight they become villains. They become these brutal militia groups. But what had really changed? Nothing at all. From the very beginning, they were capturing and executing prisoners, and nobody wanted to document that. No one wanted to publish those photos. I know, I had plenty of them, but nobody wanted them. They wanted the brutality of Gaddafi against these rebel heroes. But when Gaddafi was captured, when the image was Gaddafi himself, this became historical, it became important. It was published everywhere across the globe. The video and the footage and the images of Gaddafi. And that, for the first time, exposed that brutality of the rebel side as well. So it not only, it did inspire outrage, but it also held people accountable. But yeah, my intention was not to change the narrative of Libya. It was a very difficult thing to live with. There were many people who fought on both sides. And maybe my very close friends who were rebel fighters, my closest friends to this day. But so for a long time it was difficult to deal with the impact of my work. But ultimately the truth had to be told, and it's such an important part of history to know who killed Gaddafi and why. So while some images have a very heavy price, I've also had the privilege of making a lot of positive change in many people's lives throughout my career. One of my very first photos that was published here in Cambodia was of a little boy who had haemophilia. And that image inspired a doctor in Switzerland to sponsor him for his medication. And his life expectancy has been about 12 years. He's now in his 30s. And their story inspired widespread testing in Cambodia and recognition of haemophilia, which was almost unrecognised before, which led in turn to the saving of thousands of lives throughout the country. My photography, my journalism career, also I managed to expose corruption and human rights abuses, draw attention to mental health issues and child abuse issues in Australia, and also show the plight of refugees, which led to opening borders and aid being brought in when it was needed. And in Iraq, I was the only journalist that was present when Islamic State started invading Yazidi villages, as they were executing men and boys en masse, capturing women and girls and selling them as sex slaves. But around 30,000 people managed to flee to the mountains. But they were trapped there. They had no supplies and had no way out. So those images then, not just mine, but other journalists as well, inspired the international community to then fly in aid. They were doing airdrops to the people on the mountain, and also managed to clear a path so that they could get to freedom. So for me, I'll always be thankful that I managed to tell these stories. But yeah, with journalism there also comes many scars and many burdens. So working as a photographer, there's never been a question in my mind that even among all the risk and all the loss and all the grief, it's always worth it. Because these stories are so important and they're a part of our history, so we need to remember them.
Hi everyone, my name is Bonrich. You can call me Richie, it's my English name. Actually, my day-to-day job, I'm actually a teacher, but my passion in photography was started when in 2020 during the COVID lockdown. Everything moved to online. I moved back to Baltimore and I started to photograph flowers and trees, and I just realized, well, maybe I should start learning photography. And then studio image workshop appeared on my Facebook feed, and I was like, oh gosh, I need to apply for it. And that's when I met Mont Pelong, my mentor, my teachers, my brothers who supported me the whole time. That's why I am able to sit here, is because of him as well. He gave me a lot of opportunities, he gave me a lot of guidelines, and during the time that I studied at Studio Image, I created one of the work series called The Shadow of My Fathers. And yeah, this picture is me on this side, a very bad line, right? So this. It is a picture of me. So the reason why I created that series is because I want to honor my dad. My dad passed away when I was, it's a long story. If I say right now, it might not be a good thing. But well, my dad, he passed away when I graduated from university, and I was in a very bad moment back then, and I feel numb. I don't know how to express myself. I don't know how I can let out this feeling, this pain out, this grief out. Only when I met Mont Pelong and I told him, well, I wanted to create a story about my dad, and then he was like, oh, maybe you should try to use his clothes and go on and go to all the places that we went through, go to all the places that we created a memory together. And I was like, well, why not? And I started doing it. I went to Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. I went back to Baltimore and I started to photograph my mom's, my home, what happened, and I wear my dad's clothes. This is his clothes that he left for me and my sister, of course. So I wear it and I go to every places that we create together, all the memory that we have, and I capture it. And I find photography is a tool to express my emotion, to make me feel much better when when I feel down, when I feel like I cannot express through voice, people can see this pain through my photography. So I think that's the reason why, I create this series up. And fortunately, I did not expect it to got big, but then Mon Film started to say like, oh, your photo will be exhibited in French Institute. I was like, what? Like, no way. Like, I'm shocked beyond the speech. I'm like, I'm a teacher, for your information. I don't know what to do. But he was like, yeah, just go with it. Just encouraging me so much. So I got my first photo. She was in French Institute. So, and then he also sent me one of the it's a competition in Singapore, and he was like, no, just submit it. And I submitted it. I did not win, sadly. I wish I win, but no. But I became a special mention artist for the Julius Big visual exhibition in Singapore with this artwork, and I'm very honored. I always feel like this is such a surreal moment that a simple teacher who never know what is special feel, whatever, but I am able to do it, so it's an honor moment. And then I also an alumni at the Phnom Festival with SA1 as well, but different generation, of course. And that's when I create second artwork. The guy with the fire, so that's my second artwork. And the reason why I create that artwork is, again, I'm the type who like to talk about pains and grief and that sadness. I am the type of melancholy person, so the reason why I created it because I was burned when I was 6 years old. I have scars and I am stuck in it. I find it's my identity as who I am, and I want to create it. I want to make an empowerment for women, for men, for everyone who goes through that same pain, to say it's okay. Just do your thing, just be confident in who you are. And for those who accept you, they'll be your friends. For those who don't, it's okay, let them be. So, thank you so much.
Hello everyone. First, thanks for coming today. My name is Sophana. I'm from the Thai province. I did not study photography school. I started graphic design school at Royal University of Phnom. But during my study, I also joined the studio image, thanks to friend of the shoot, in 2010. And then for 6 months. And then I continued to join another course in 2012. So first I joined the photo class with Om Sawantino. And then I joined with another teacher with Alexander. So here's also my teacher videos. And then I started to like photography a lot because at the fine art school, I was surrounded by art. At the beginning, when I graduated high school, I didn't know what I want to study. So my brother took me to the fine art school, and then I found out that graphic design is more interesting because there is no mathematics. But then after when I studied graphic design, I explored photography. I feel I even like more photography, but it's very difficult to get stable on photography. So I did 2 work together as a graphic designer and also as a photography. I was full-time graphic designer for many years, and then I be a goal to switch my career in 2019 to be full-time photographer or artist and to be part-time or graphic designer. And my work is mostly about portrait. Why I like portrait? Because when I photograph, I can talk to people and I can communicate with them. can learn from them, especially for their story. And most of the people that I work with, they are women, they are group of workers that they kind of work hard, not people who work in office like us. So I can learn from their part of life, and then we exchange our experience through photography. And I would like to spread the voice through my photography as well. So as you can see in my work, it's not only pure portrait or photography. I always add up something. So from the story that I learned, I always add my point of view into my work. Example, the one you see is the sign of land for sale and the number. I took it in Cambodia province. When I was there in 2016, I saw many signs put up like land for sale, land for sale. So at that time, you might remember that Hong Kong was a boom development and everything sold, everything changed, development boom. And then it's going to Cambodia. So Cambodia is getting ready for that development at the time. That's why the land is very expensive. So to me, when I was there, I feel like, what's the plan? So I tried to do something to express my feeling. So I illegally collect the sign at night, and then I put it up together, I shoe it together, and then I asked one of my assistants. I couldn't ask the villager because they will say no to that project. So I asked my assistant to put the sign on, and then we travel to post in different landscape in Cambodia. Until now, the place that we post mostly it has been sold and become development. So this is just one of my projects that is very related to my personal thinking, how I want to express about what I think. So similar to story, but like, I want to be like I want to be like advocate, to speak something now, but it's quite sensitive, that's why I decided to use my image to talk instead of myself to talk. So if you see my image and you don't understand about it, you can talk to me and tell me it's crazy. And I also work with women issue in Cambodia because, as you may know, in Cambodia, the woman norm is very strong. So being as a woman, I have many sisters. So I know what is respect and what is the challenge, like I said before the talk. And so why not? I don't think men can express well about women norm or women feeling. So as a woman, I have to do it. I express it through my work. So this is one of the surveys that I did with the portrait. So I asked women around me, like my friends or people that I met, they are interested to work with me. So I asked them to remove all the makeup, and then I portrait them with the flower that they like, the color that they like, and then I print it out, and then I paint on this without careful, just free painting. So we'll see, like their face without makeup is pure beauty, and the painting like without carefully line, just create this sort of imperfection. So for me, like people are born with imperfection, and that imperfection is beauty. So I want to acknowledge the natural beauty of the woman. And it's also inspired from the word of woman as a white clothes, man as a gold. You might know this word as a Cambodian, so I want to rest that code and make us think again, why is that? And what has happened is the white clothes, was with a beautiful color, not just even black. Sometimes the dirt is beautiful. It's not just the dirt is not all ugly. So we have to take this experience as the beauty, the natural beauty. I speak only two because I will never speak after that. You can check more of my work at my website. Thank you.
migration between the people and the landscapes. So I work a lot about landscapes. My topics are the others, the people. That's why I work a lot on migration in France, because Europe, since more than 10 years right now, is facing migration topics, issues. So a lot of people are coming in Europe, and particularly in France. So I work on these topics, and I read some works on migrations, and always with the idea that for me picture is it's a space of meeting, and I'm very interested in photography, also with invisible things. What it means exactly is, in a picture there is some visible things, of course, but there is a lot of invisible things, and that's why I try to see. So with the people, when I photograph the people, I try also to see the inner space, and to increase our collective inner space experience. As a female photographer, maybe I realized I was a female photographer when I gave birth for the first time, so it was quite difficult to continue to work during this time. And I get the idea of doing a picture. This is what you see on the screen right now. It's my first body of work 20 years ago. When I gave birth, I felt a little bit like blocked with my child, even if I loved her. And I began to do some self-portrait with her, because at this time at the society it was like quite normal that the woman carried about the children. And I was thinking, but what can I do now with her? I cannot work anymore. I don't feel free or available to work anymore. So I started this work, and it was a very important thing to me, just to show to others, to people, that this is maybe a female topic, but this is also the entire topic, entire society topics, because if the woman starts to carry about the children and the family and the domestic topics, what will happen? And I wanted to say we need help to get some free space and time to continue to work when we are women photographer. So it's at this time I think I realized I was a woman photographer, because for me being a woman is not very different than being a man photographer, but I cannot compare because I'm a woman, so I don't know exactly what it could be if I had been a man. But when I gave birth for the first time, I realized I was a woman photographer, so I did this part of this body of work, very important for me. During 5 years, I explored alone with my daughter, like a conversation with her, and I photographed the daily situation, and I would like to do some tableau to show to everybody what the simple things can be a very, very big deal in a woman's life and in a woman's photographer life. And this was a very important work for me, because after that I've done a book, and I've done a lot of exhibitions and things like that. So for me, it was very important to increase my photographer career and my writing, my book and my photography writing. And after that, I feel more free to work as a photographer. And then I continue my work exploring the human territories, and I'm still doing that right now. And here in the Foto Festival of Phnom Penh, I'm showing 2 works I've done in France recently about the landscapes and the people.
Our guest speaker, like I told you, it's not about female platform, but it's a male platform here to engage to our discussion. But thank you for patiently listen to our story, and you can see our story very diverse story, very contextual, and we try to simulate the story from the photography, not just only the art of photography. You can see about working on the environmental protection education. You can see working on the peace humanitarian activity to promote the war that ensure that civilians still live in safety and security in their community, from the mental health, becoming to the resilience, from the advocacy and promoting including the beauty, positivity in our society, to show the behind the curtains that you cannot see about the daily communication among one family to another family. So those kind of relationship, you can see that very interesting topic that you can see, and beside that there you can see about, like this one, you learn about feeling, our like our feeling, talking about the photo and sharing this morning. So I hope for the next question, and please give us 3 minutes to answer one question, because by the time of Zoom, I hope you don't mind about this, about the time. So for the first question, I would like to pass the first question to Tracy. As you mentioned already about your experience, what were the challenges and opportunity to do women photographer face in the male-dominant industry? Like you already know, less female representative in the photography industry. You can Google that, a lot of research study about that. And how does it affect your work and your creativity? Would you mind to give us a 3-minute answer for this question? Thank you.
So most of my career I spent in the Middle East. So the question I would get asked the most is, how do you work as a female in countries that are so restrictive against women? And while there were definitely a lot of challenges, I actually found there were a lot of benefits, and I had access to things that male journalists would never have access to. So challenges, there were, especially working in war zones, and when you're in country, there are extra dangers that you face, especially in areas where there's no functioning government anymore, society is breaking down, and so you mostly get male journalists and photographers working in these areas. There were some other females, mostly I found they would team up with male groups of journalists. But for me, I actually always worked alone, and I always stayed with local communities, local families, local fighting groups on the front lines with them, and that gave me a real insight into an understanding of what those families are actually going through, how the war is changing their lives and affecting everything, every day. And so for as far as like being foreign as a woman, I wasn't expected to follow the same traditions as local women, so I didn't have the same restrictions. So I could, in most cases, I could work similar to the male journalists, where I could still stay on front lines. I camp out on the front lines for weeks or months with these fighting groups, and I could still interview male leaders and male fighters, and I had no problems there. But where I had an extra benefit is that those fighters would then ask me to come back and visit their families. They'd ask me to come and meet their wives and their mothers and their kids, and even to stay with them in their homes. And sometimes I'd spend weeks, months, even years off and on, coming back and staying with the same families, and I'd become very close to them. But that's something that in conservative areas, male journalists would never be able to do. And so and not only did I get to interview women and tell the stories of women and children and family life in the war zone, but even with the men, because in front of a male journalist, they'll show that bravado, especially on the front line. They're always going to be tough, but when you go back to their home with them and you see them playing with their kids and having their wife yell at them or doting over their mother, you see a completely different side to them. And being a female as well, and being in their home, then they tend to also open up to me, and they're not as they don't have to show that front of being so tough, but they would actually tend to open up to me and talk about what an emotional toll it takes to actually have to kill someone, and see your friends dying next to you and facing death yourself. And so my journalism in the Middle East, I was a photographer but also a writer as well, and videographer. So the stories that I would tell were actually very different to anything that I'd read before I came to the Middle East, because because I never heard those stories told before, and because it was so fascinating to me and so new, and that's what I really concentrated on, was these stories of families, and even when I was on the front line, it'd be that emotional toll on them, not so much just the figures of the fighting and the lines that the commanders would give you, but that background of everyday people and how war affects them.
Thank you. Tracy, would you like to answer in terms of this question again
I think that, I agree with you, Tracy, that maybe being a woman photographer sometimes it's easier to see this, because maybe it's because we know that our place is sometimes questioned by the other one, because we are women. And so we are maybe more self-confident also, because we need to be here. And so we go. It's what I have this impression when I'm in the streets or looking for my topics and photographing people. I go straight to the deep question I would like to ask them. So, and maybe it's because of being a woman that you need to go, we want to go deeply inside. I'm very focused on this inner space, inside space, and I think we go right to the seats. And we know that sometimes the public place could be a danger also. Sometimes I go in zone, in France there are some suburbs, and the life there is not so easy for the people. There is some violence, and sometimes it's not easy for a woman to be with a camera here, because you're like very visible, and you need to be very self-confident with that, because if you're not, it's not easy after that. So we need to take place as women, and maybe it's a strength for us to be like that. So I think that's the positive things as a woman photographer. What I just would like in a few words say is that's true that the diffusion of the women's work was hard. In France, it was the women's photographers are less visible, were less visible than men photographers' work, because the institution, the society was built like that for men's work, and that was the problem. The woman was working, but with less visibility. So now it's changed, because we count the number of men photographers and women photographers, and so it changed everything when you count, because it became visible. So I think that being a woman photographer, the difficulty was to show our work and to be visible after we work. And now it's changing, and so the space for women to develop their work are also increasing, and so it's going better and better, and so our place is growing, and I think at last it's a good thing that things are changing right now.
Would you like to still keep on this question, or would you like to continue to the other questions? Because we have like 2 more questions. Okay, I'll just share a little bit from the Cambodian side, just 1 minute for sure. Of course, I think the challenges that, let's talk about my own experience, because I don't really have much, so just when I think the challenge of us female is definitely the safety of going. For example, when we go out to take pictures, sometimes it makes us feel like it's a safe place. are we going to have the dangers? Is there a man trying to do something to us, or what, like that kind of safety? For example, when I do one of the artwork, I went to abandoned building alone. I don't like to do just like you, I like using alone. So I was there alone, and it was like 5 p.m. and it's dark already, and I have to tell that it was really scary. And I think it just reflects back how it can be very scary for us. But I think the opportunity at the same time is the fact that it's giving us the freedom to talk. Like, people are welcoming us more when we are female. They talk to us. When we in the dangerous place, when they see women, they tend to let that guard down. They feel less threatened compared to men when men go and take pictures. But for female, I feel like we got female energy, female aura. So we got in, they definitely let that guard down. I think that's definitely an opportunity for us.
Thank you for sharing for your own thoughts in terms of, and your experience in terms of becoming a female photographer, and also the challenging and opportunities. I really like the idea in terms of working at the role zone. I understood working alone is more challenging, particularly at the conflict areas. And becoming more confident in your own society is the most important thing. And your purpose in our own society, we need men to protect us as well in our own societies. So that the reason this is a platform that we can express ourselves about our issue here. And regarding student registration, I would like to ask our college here in this island here, either or either Trevor can share us more. How have women photographers have highlighted marginalized communities through your work? Can you share your example or your experience from your artwork that impactful, positive ways to the community? Can you share with us? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my work, I have been work with mostly community, but I will say the impact is not 100% to be honest. So there's some impact in there, but there's not fully impact. I can say that because when I go to meet community, I think the first thing that they can get from me is when I share about my story with them. But at the same time, I also learn the story from them. And then when we exchange the story, when I produce my artwork, so it's not like just short. I go there back and forth. So like one work, example, I spend more than 6 months to study the project and to go there and work with them. So first I get to know them. Like we already mentioned, I think as a woman we are more welcome than men to be in the community. Like when we talk to them, they are happy to share the story with us and welcome us softly. But I prefer not to go alone. So it is different because I already have a sister and mostly it's men. But the sister know nothing about the photography, just follow me and take. This is my trick, quite different. Because mostly I go to the forest or the remote area, so it's dangerous if I go alone. So I know where I'm living, I know where I'm working, so I have to do what is best for me first to produce the work. And so sometimes after I produce work at the community, I bring back the exhibition to the community, to the village. Even it's not professional exhibition, but sometimes it's just normal painting on a panel. So I went to the village and then I display the village. It's so beautiful, and I invite villagers to join. So sometimes we have food to eat together at the evening. So they come, look at their picture and talk about the picture and learn about art, what is the exhibition and what is the topic that I want to talk about. and then I can feel the community there. And this is very contrasted and very different from the museum and the gallery that is very precise care of the art, but there you can touch, you can see, you can hang it from the tree, put it everywhere that people can see and access to art. And I think this is important to bring art to the children, to the people, to see it. This is oh, they might want to be a photographer in the future, they might want to be an artist in the future. And I think this is kind of impact. We don't know what's happening in the future to them, but at least we try and we show them. And we with Raymond also did a project called Nominate Atu, that we are photographer, videographer, painter, and also we do installation. So we went back to the community and we teach them to draw, to photograph, to pen, and we also have exhibition there. So at the end of the workshop, they see their work display, but we also bring the exhibition to Phnom Penh and we try to invite them to join. So this is kind of to bring the community and to connect with them through art. Yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting one because this is a usual learning sharing at a community level that we can bring and sharing through the art and the photography. Thank you so much. Yeah. As to you.
Adding to also Paul is we actually we both are in a fitness worker called different jobs, sorry. So we have this art for community and we targeted on minority and ethnic groups. So thinking back about this practice and medium that we want to have impact on the community is that we just do not want to have just art exhibition and people in the city, but we want to have engagement for the people who have less access to this art scene. And another, on the other side of art for community participation, how I think about minority is firstly from the concept that I want to do. It's not about, okay, I'm not a human rights defender, I'm just a visual storyteller. It's basically come down to what story I want to tell and how medium and what sort of location that have more impact to them. To be honest, actually, I think if you want to bring impact to this community, it has to be on that side, not just here in the space where we took those soul and took that image and then we just display somewhere else, which have different context. So one of the examples that I'm doing the project that I'm doing right now, which is showing at Art3, French Future Factory. It's about minority community. So it's the first concept to do this is not, okay, I want to target minorities and stuff like that, no. But it's come down to what do I want to tell. So it's from my personal experience that I have this sort of experience with temperature rising, and those who have more, who got side effect from this temperature rising is those who have less access to public service or in remote areas. For example, those few village who got impacted by the flood. So they do not have those access, and we, for me here in the city, we can, okay, if the weather is hot, we just can't turn on AC or turn a fan, right? But for them, they do not have this. They have to endure, adapt to this climate change. So I went there and studied, and it's about the concept that I want to tell, basically. And it turns out that those minorities have more negative impact about this social development. So,
thank you so much for sharing. Our work is more likely to engage with the community, of course. Anthropology, stay with the community make a conclusion before we are close. We almost by the time to the conclusion. And yes, I would like to ask you to share your suggestion and conclusion for our conversation today. Any suggestion for your conclusion for that? If you would like to share, yes, you're welcome to share more. Yes.
Well, for me, I've never really done anything in the normal way. I know that everyone's advice is to have a goal and to stay focused, and that's great advice, but it was something I totally failed with my whole life. But the reason why I succeeded is because I was always open to new opportunities. I never dreamed in my wildest dreams I'd be a war correspondent. I didn't want to be a journalist until I became one. But I was just always open and looking for new opportunities and ready to take them when they came along. And it led me to places I never dreamt I would be. So I guess my advice would be that keep your goals and keep your focus, but always be open to something else. Be ready to take a risk or to take a chance on something new, because you never know where it's going to lead you.
Okay, so, my final conclusion is the fact that I really learn a lot from every one of you here, the females, how you guys are going through. And since I feel like I'm very new to photography, I feel like I've learned, and I feel like especially our two Cambodian females that you talk about bringing the work back to community. It's such a new idea that it's like a boom to me. Because like that's something that I never thought of. Because I feel like we go back and just take a lot of pictures from, go to the city and go to the village, take picture, post it on the wall, gallery, but we never show it to them, like how beautiful they are, how nice they look like, how amazing they are. So to do this, I'm really applause for this kind of work. I really appreciate that. And also to audience, I think many of you, some of you probably, from my perspective, because I'm a teacher, so what I'm trying to say is, it's okay if your job is another thing and your passion is another thing. Just do it. You can just work as a teacher or something else, and you can just, at the same time, follow your passion, do it as a side job, and if the opportunity comes, just like what Tracy said, just grab it and just take it, even though you're nervous. Even I am right now nervous really badly, but just take it, just do it. What else what will happen? Just take it, just do it, and we will look back and realize how far you come, and yeah, just do it for all the young people out there. Thank you.
Because I have not the feeling that the conversation is over. So I don't have to say, take the place you have to take. I think it's a question of place, and it also is a question about looks. Because to be a photographer is to have a look on the world. So go on the look and never forget your look and try to find what is your look. What does look? It's a good word. Look. Don't regard. Lens, maybe. Yeah. You know, the fact with your eyes you see things. Being a photographer is to see things and to think and see at the same time. So practice these things together. I think we have each photographer has his own way to photograph things, and this is the good way to photograph.
I'm not sure because hand over.
I think the main reason of the discussion today is not only the female on photography, but how the importance to be a female through the photography. For us, it's very important, and then I just want to my points of view, but I think maybe the question probably maybe not for you, but maybe for the whole audience. That we believe to be in photography, it's just the way that you think in the most that you can think about how you can express it, or it just maybe you can use the way that after we hear all the story expression about everyone. So I think this is very important because why? This year we just have opportunity to create the School of Photography, and the final selection of our students, it's 12 of them from the total of 20. So 12 female students that in our class. So they are all here. So I might want to have some message from all of you that to give them inspire our students, and this is the raising up of the new generation of photographies in Cambodia.
Be an inspiring one as you were inspired by.
I don't know, for me, I think that in my life, being a photographer and being a journalist was the most incredible experience. I feel so lucky that I had that privilege. So just keep working towards it and keep doing what you do and do it in your own way.
To my female students, I'm proud of you, and I think you just follow your heart. I think you're going to have a lot of stress with homework and everything, but chill. Don't make photography